This is another kind of spur of the moment kind of thing that I've been probably doing more and more of. And yeah, I have been trying to kind of make a point of just um, doing a little bit more of these shorter form videos that are like a quick kind of slight deep dive. Well, maybe not a deep dive, but into the whatever stuff I'm working on as of now. So rather than kind of a long measured kind of um, kind of like exhaustive kind of thing. But yeah, I'm like I said, there's when my writing my novel, basically, yeah, there's points where I'm trying to get like isolated um, narr- narratives that can split off cleanly and try to get those like on their own kind of document and like whittled down as best I can. And the Sick Man is that short story that I think I mentioned in the last video, not the last review, but the last thing where I was talking about my writing. Um, and yeah, I'm still kind of at a standstill at that. Like different things like the revelation of how the Doctor character of the Doctor, Matheson, I think his name is like gonna, who's based off of Doctor, the I think his name was Doctor, some I can't remember the last name, but it was something like his nickname was Doctor Feelgood, and he like gave like all these like lithium and like stuff like that to like painkillers to the that's why he was called that fitting nickname. But yeah, he was assistant, like the personal physician to like the Kennedys and a number of other famous people, especially kind of in the industry of like the entertainment industry. So yeah, I'm still trying to kind of an impasse trying to figure out like how, without giving too much away, what's going to happen with that. But I will definitely post that on my blog when I get that out there. My blog is narratives from a stuttering fanatic is as I try to get that out. Yeah, it is. I'll try to put a link in the below, but I think I might have that in like my kind of thing bio as well. So yeah, and that's something I came up with like 7 or 8 years ago when I first came up with that. So it was like a kind of spur of the moment thing. I don't even know why I thought of that, but anyway, so I kind of kept it anyway. I'm sure there's probably more embarrassing names that I have. But anyway, so yeah, there's different things like spurts of poetry and stuff like so the poet I just kind of put as I kind of highlight as being just the poet, just to kind of get it, just to make it kind of easier to kind of tag and like search, to do a control F and to actually um, search for it. But yeah, so this is basically like the poet talking about um, and this is like I give myself permission to kind of be as verbose and like lusty, I guess is the name of it, like very uh erratic and like but bombastic, I think is a good name, elaborate, bombastic and like flamboyant with this kind of language. So it's he's talking about kind of a Dionysian celebration, or he or whoever. I'm not even sure what it is. It could be kind of a Gnostic kind of demiurge kind of thing that's just outside of space and time, that doesn't have any, it's genderless beyond constructs. So this is very first draft, like a lot of this stuff. So he's like, it was an unstaged musical production of clapboard proportions held within a rustic ordinary inn. There was a parade at first sober faces ready to imbibe on the ecstasy surrounding them, feeding off the generally copious free spirits, exquisite to your undoing, frothy tips of beer mugs clashing against each other, singing pentatonic folk tunes dating back to the 1500s, exclaiming Sligo, explaining at the top of their lungs their proud rural history of potato farmers and bar dancing, hand in hand royalty and peasants dancing as well. It was a dynasty of subtle apprehension, timorous outright embracing of the meaninglessness of all torrents of voices singing in chorus. Who has become one wise man? Who was once a wise man, and now wise men become fools, and whoever on gave of a piece of themselves to this connective tissue of absurdity, finding us together by this very same Schopenhauerian will. So let us dance, not with any goal or telos in mind, not to the tiresome march of marching music of the military band, we stop ourselves driving goose steps across nations. Let us dance through our rhythm though our rhythm may falter. Let us mix twist both in spirit and in the saints of hearts with God. How my heart wants to be squashed and trodden over, stymied by whatever comes its way. Something to that effect. Yeah. So that's kind of taking some pointers from Hermann Hesse, especially the whole dancing kind of thing, like a Dionysian kind of Steppenwolf thing, where Harry Haller kind of at the behest, at the imploring of especially like Hermione and Pablo, I think the other character of the saxophone musician guy, they were all very much Dionysian. They're trying to get like a very Apollonian guy, a middle-aged man, to get to dance, and this is kind of in that kind of same spirit. And then there's like another thing, I'm not even sure I should show this, but like another character of Bob that and this character's predated even before probably writing. I think it's gone back to kind of an inside joke between me and my friend, because basically me and my friend are the only people who know about the character of Bob, or Bob Ackerman, but I've just kind of shortened it to Bob over the years. And no, it's not the same Twin Peaks Bob, but yeah, I do kind of understand the confusion, and I do intend on a change, because there is some parallels between Bob kind of having some evil spells of kind of dimension walking through dimensions, but he's more of almost like a multiple personality kind of case of just kind of spurting out whatever's on my mind. And it's just like stuff like different characters, like one of them is like the Papa, and that was taken by kind of a morbid kind of thing of it was kind of not poking fun at, but just kind of that's kind of humor that the only kind of humor that I really find funny is stuff that's not really poking fun and saying, haha, look how stupid that is. It's more so, this is, oh, I've mentioned this thing that happened, and it's like there's no like punchline, there's nothing really clever about it. It's just kind of like, oh, this thing that happened, it's actually weirdly childish in that sense. Like, it's like, oh, like the Son of Sam, like the guy that did those, the horrible murders back in the 60s, and I think it was I can't remember his real name, David something. I think he's still alive, but yeah, he made up all these. He wasn't actually insane, but he made up like this moniker of like Sam, like making up Sam, and it was at the time, I think it was probably because I was watching like Mindhunter or something like that, kind of, and I was like, kind of made me want to create this kind of character of like the Papa, and the Papa is like, again, like you don't know if he's real or not, or if like Bob is just lying about all this stuff, but the Papa is basically like obviously a patriarchal family. He has this epithet that kind of denotes some sense of like fatherliness, but on the other hand, he's also very, very like psychotic and sociopathic, but not sociopathic, but like more so he's a product of his own inner torment. Like there's like an intense amount of pain to the Papa. Like he was like abused as a kid, just very dark, horrible. Southern Gothic too. There's a lot of like Flannery O'Connor or Faulkner, definitely, McCarthy, some of the Cormac McCarthy stuff plays a role in this whole thing with like Papa has many different offshoots and like different things, whereas like one side of him is like nice, and like sometimes he'll fashion a little doll for his children, and other times he'll do like a bear hug that will like almost kill them. Like he's like a little bit like kind of Lenny from Mice and Men. Like he's just like, a part of him is like sweet, and he doesn't mean all that bad, but like he can't help but be a product of this will, of like this very tormented kind of upbringing. I mean, he was like partially blinded, and then he has scars and stuff. It's just awful. But he's just like, a bit like Bane. Like he's just covered in like all these different scars, and he's on this like kind of True Detective kind of season 1 esque kind of land, where he owns this kind of farm out in the middle of nowhere, where he doesn't, I don't know if he really owns it, but it's like really deep in the south, and that's where he like has, he gets away with all these awful things. He's so out in the rural kind of thick of it. Like he can't like, like nobody, he's so far out deep in the boonies, in the bosom of, of like Louisiana, maybe Georgia, that he's just like nobody can actually get him, like nothing, nobody can actually, you know, apprehend him, you know. So he's just like, and then there's another character named Rat, who Rat is, I think, is a little bit too close to Murakami's Rat trilogy. The character that kind of that carries throughout all these Murakami books, but yeah, I think the Rat character is like a different thing, more recent, and he is basically nicknamed that because he's like kind of like he's like good at running almost like in a hamster wheel of these different jobs. Like he's like a really good typer, and he's like has this almost savant type ability to do very very good like intellectual kind of work, like hyper ridiculous, like like IRS like tax coding work, or like doing stuff like that just like without breaking a sweat, like he's or with doing all this like incredibly abstract work as well, thinking like from every single angle. um but then though but he also has like these weird relationships with like alien species that take on the host of these different ants and stuff, and that the ants are basically like trying to form a peace negotiation. And I just thought it was funny the way that Bob is like reciting all this stuff. He's like, and then Rat started doing blah, 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 blah. Like some of it's just really just dumb, like idiotic, foolish garbage. Like it's just like him saying like something like like this is what happens when you chew five gum, and it would be like haha, like isn't that funny, like, and then it's just him like pop culture references out the wazoo, like he's like, I watched Family Guy for a million years, like a million times yesterday. Quagmire's the most hilarious character, huh? He'll be like this self-referential, like complete unoriginal vapid person, and then like the next day he'll be like like talking about like how like Rat uh or like he'll like recount about how Rat is like starting this religion or something, and like is starting a some kind of weird demiurge kind of Gnostic kind of thing. um or yeah, a Neoplatonist revival is another thing where he's like auctioning off his worldly possessions, and uh select few are willing to give up the worldly appearances and leave their respective caves, so to speak. Like he's like mentioning Plato, so it's just like a weird kind of, I guess, like contrast, I guess. um but yeah, I definitely have to like um just whittle all this down into something kind of practicable or communicable, at least to the even if it's like something that's just like forever to be destined to be kind of hidden up here, like I still want to kind of get it out there in some sense. But yeah, that's all I have for today, and thanks for watching.